Nancy Mace wants to go to Columbia to shake things up, from infrastructure to ethics. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with her about infrastructure, ethics, and other issues facing South Carolina House District 99. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Nancy!
Yes, sir.
It is so good to see you again.
And good to see you again too, Quintin.
I appreciate this.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Oh, thank you. You know, the last time I saw you was a week ago.
Right.
When I moderated the House District 99 Republican Forum at North Charleston City Hall.
Right.
And I'm wondering this, if you could do the forum again, what would you say to your voters?
I think you guys did a really good job at the forum last week. Your questions are really detailed and in-depth. I don't think I would change a thing. I mean, I am happy and content with where we are in the race and the campaign. The biggest thing right now is one, educating people on when the election is. Perhaps we could have said November 14th about a dozen more times than we have already during the race. But that's the biggest thing is educating people about the election, because so many people don't know that there's a special election on the 14th. We have a bond referendum and a mayor's race on the 7th in different parts of the district. Right. And so a week later, we need folks to turn out again for this special election for the House.
So why should they turn to you?
Well, first off, I'm conservative and I'm a businesswoman. I'm not a politician. Right. And I want to take what I've learned in business over the last 18 years and apply it here. I do think a little bit of common sense might go a long way, but there's no oversight or accountability, whether we're talking about infrastructure and roads, taxes, educating our children, the nuclear power plant mess, the state pension fund. I asked myself who's in charge. And we have real issues down here, particularly with infrastructure. And we need someone who's going to have an analytical mindset, a business mindset, to look at these issues, because when government gets involved, as we've seen over decades and decades, that's when things go awry. But when government gets out of the way, we let private enterprise do the work, we're able to be successful. And so I think we really want to find people, one, that are going to work hard, two, that are conservative, and three, have that business mindset to look at it from that perspective and how we can be more efficient with taxpayer dollars.
You talk about infrastructure. I want to go to the Post and Courier headline, which reads this: fast growing part of Berkeley County feels left behind when it comes to service and infrastructure. So what part of that Berkeley County needs more services?
Well, this is not part of the district. That is the northern part of Berkeley County, where they're building Volvo, and we have Carnes Crossroads, and Somerville is sort of part of that also, where we have all that development going on up there. I remember when Carnes Crossroads was a dirt road, and now it's this huge development. And so, but it's not just that part of Berkeley County. It's the entire county. It's our district. It's also Charleston County. We have so many people moving here right now. We have 8 to 10 million tourists a year that come down here. And when they come down here and visit, they never want to leave, and I get it. I grew up here, and they love Charleston. They love our oak trees. They love our sandy shores and the great food and the culture and the people who are kind to them, that southern hospitality. But we have all these new friends now, and I ask myself two questions. One, where are our new friends going to live? And two, how are they going to get around town? And that goes back to our infrastructure, and we are fully unprepared. I do believe we're in a crisis mode. That article is a great article because it talked about the crisis that we're in from an infrastructure standpoint. I believe infrastructure should be built before we do all of this development, and it's just not that way. And that's why we have all these traffic issues, no matter where you are in Charleston, whether it's 17, Highway 41, Clements Ferry, I-26, 526. I mean, we have real problems, and people are frustrated when they see the continued growth and they see that we are not there yet presently, and in 5 years from now it's going to be 100 times worse. And so we've got to really get these issues fixed immediately. There is no, we cannot wait any longer. But the problem with that is that we have a system of political spoils, where the longer you're in Columbia, the more money you get because of your seniority, regardless of need or merit. And I want to see spending based on needs and merit, because if it were, we would have more of our infrastructure fixed and figured out by now.
You know, I asked you guys this question back in the forum, but who is running South Carolina?
I don't know. I keep asking myself the same thing. But you know, there's a powerful, small group of powerful legislators who've been there for a very long time. They have seniority. So decisions are based on politics, not on need. And we need to have fresh faces up there. We need people who are going to be tough. We need people who are going to be conservative, who understand the landscape and how it works so that we can get our fair share back in the district.
You talk about tough and conservative. Let me go to your endorsements. You said this on Facebook, on your Facebook page on November 1st. You said this quote, and this is from Tom Davis, who's endorsed.
Yes, Senator Davis endorsed, correct.
He says this: we need common sense perspectives in Columbia now more than ever. But more importantly, we need people of principle who have consistently demonstrated the courage and integrity to stand for what they believe in. When you hear that, what sticks out to you?
I'm humbled by it. Senator Davis is a conservative
Right.
state senator, and I'm deeply humbled by that. I mean, I think he's looked at what I've done throughout my life and has seen someone who's consistent in the way that they approach things and the way that they do business and the way that I hold myself. And that, to me, means more than anything in the world, because I want to be consistent when I go up there. One of the problems I see with legislators when they get elected is they're not consistent. They say one thing on the campaign trail, they get up to Columbia and they do another. And I want to be consistently conservative for the folks in this district.
And speaking of which, South Carolina State Senator Larry Boone says this about you, quote, Nancy
Right.
Mace knows how to shake things up, and the good old boys and establishment certainly needs some shaking. So what else can you shake up?
Well, I think Senator Grooms is a great senator here in our district in Berkeley County.
Right.
I think he sees that we have this good old boy establishment up there, and we need to break it up. And we need someone who's going to be tough and make tough decisions, but also fight for our district. And that's the people of Hanahan, Daniel Island, Mount Pleasant, and part of Goose Creek. And I know that because I grew up in this area. I'm raising my family here, and my business is here. I can represent everybody in the district, and that's what I'm most excited about. Not just one area or a particular neighborhood, but everyone, because of my roots here. And it's very exciting, but the biggest thing is that for people to get out and vote on the 14th.
And I know that once you get up to Columbia, if you're elected, you want to focus on Scannon and Santee Cooper. Where are we with that in your mind?
Well, the nuclear power plant mess is a very complicated issue.
Okay.
So we voted on, the legislature voted on the Baseload Review Act in, I believe it was 2007. And
Right.
this was before roll call voting. So you didn't know who was on the record actually voting for it.
Right.
And so what we have now is, again, government getting in the way, and they have created this mess. Typically, when you pay for your energy, you're paying for it based on your consumption after the plant has been built. But in this case, the Baseload Review Act took the risk from the shareholders and the creditors to the ratepayers. And rates were hiked at least 9 times that I'm aware of to the ratepayers of SCE&G and Santee Cooper. So fast forward 10 years later,
Right.
and we've spent $9 billion on a plant we're supposed to have. We're 60% built on that plant. And we have the State House running around, all these politicians running around with their heads cut off, acting like they didn't vote for this thing in the first place. And so what we're gonna see is them making a lot of bold statements, going after and attacking these folks when this is their fault. This is something the State House created, this mess. And so they need to be responsible for cleaning it up. What I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see these politicians make a decision in haste for political expediency and not for the good of the taxpayers or the ratepayers. Now, it would cost about $10 million a year to mothball the site.
Right.
And I think that we should do that for a year, maybe 2, and do the analysis we need to do. Take the time to have a rational discussion, a business discussion on what the best next steps are. I don't think we should be selling Santee Cooper at the bottom of the barrel right now, nor should we be selling the parts and pieces of the plant site for pennies on the dollar. Now, we may decide in 12 months that that is the right thing to do, and it may be the right thing to do,
Okay.
but we don't need to make that decision right now. We need to run the numbers, we need to look at this from an analytical perspective and figure out what is the best case scenario, because energy prices fluctuate frequently.
Right.
When they voted on doing the nuclear power plant, it was because nuclear energy was a much more cost-effective option. Today it's not, because you have natural gas as a much cheaper option. It could be coal next year, it could be
Right.
natural gas, it could be nuclear a year
Sure.
from now, maybe 2.
Right.
So I don't want us to rush this thing. We rushed into it. This was a bill, Baseload Review Act was a bill that was rushed through by lobbyists in one session. We don't need to do that this time. We need to take the time and be analytical and make a good decision that is good for the ratepayers and good for the taxpayers.
You talk about discussion. Who would you invite to the table?
The experts, anyone and everyone who is an expert in this, from the industry, and in Columbia, and business folks. I mean, as a business person, you don't sell a business at the bottom of the barrel. So we've got to figure out the financial situation. You need people with a financial and analytical mind and figure out what's going to be the best deal.
I know over the past couple of weeks during this particular campaign, you've had to do with, I guess, Twitter trolls.
Love them.
Oh, you do?
Love them.
What is your message to them right now?
I just, it's all political games.
Okay.
I mean, it's one thing to attack someone, and it's another to then lie and smear them. And I just ignore it. I've been dealing with that stuff for a while, and I just like to generally ignore it. But when you accuse me of doing something illegal or unethical when I'm fundraising, that's not true, then I'm going to step up and say something that is absolutely false. My message to voters is that no one is going to outwork me. I raised $80,000 in the first 2 weeks of this race because I was out there banging on doors, making phone calls, meeting with people because I work that hard. You see my yard signs in so many places across the district, and it's because I have worked hard. And I'm not going to be outworked with fundraising in this race. I'm not going to be outworked being out and meeting with constituents on the campaign trail. And I'm not going to be outworked when I go to Columbia.
Now, just to be fair, you're not taking any money from special interest groups or anything like that?
No, I mean, you can go look at I haven't even looked at all my donations, but they're mostly from individuals. They're over 250 folks. There are corporate checks in there, 5 or 6, I'm not sure. So anybody can go online and look at that and see who's donated. I haven't even looked at everything because there's so many, probably even more than 300 now. But it's all there and transparent. And one of the things that I promise to do is that when I get there is to disclose all my income sources and the amounts. When I filed for office for this thing, I thought it was a joke what I had to disclose on the financial forms. I couldn't believe how little we had to disclose about our sources of income and that sort of thing. But all of my donors, whoever has donated to me, corporate or individual, they're all online at the ethics website.
And you talk about that. Let's go back to September 18th. You said this on Facebook, quote, "This morning at 11:14, I walked into the Berkeley County election office and filed to run for the South Carolina State House in District 99. The election is on 11/14, less than 2 months away, y'all. I will need all the help I can get." So what has the help been like for you so far?
It's been overwhelmingly positive. It's been awesome. I have holes in my shoes from all the doors that me and volunteers have knocked on, and friends and family. It's been overwhelmingly positive, and I just can't thank people enough. They get up each day and they want to know how they can help. And it's been an amazing experience. I love campaigning, and I hope to be able to earn the support of the majority of folks in the district on November 14th.
And I know that gubernatorial candidate Catherine Templeton just recently said that if she's elected to governor, she will give away her salary. Would you, if you become state?
It's not really much of a salary. I think it's about 10 grand a year. So I'm obviously not doing this for money. I'm at a point in my career and with my family where it's a good time for me to serve. It's something I've always wanted to do, is public service. And you certainly aren't doing it for financial reasons, because I do quite well in my private business. And I'd be giving most of that up to do this. So. And
as we talk about the gubernatorial race, who would you endorse if you had to?
I don't endorse.
Okay.
Ever. Senator Tim Scott, I admire him a lot, but as a legislator, I think he does a great job in terms of constituent services and listening to people and being responsive and being accountable and accessible, and I want to be like that. But he doesn't endorse, and I'm not going to get in the business of endorsing either. So.
And we have to reset, because obviously you have a tremendous career. You have a lot of history behind you. Define Nancy Mace.
Nancy is a hard worker, And that is, if I could pick two words, that would define who I am. My parents taught me the value of hard work during hard times. I haven't always made life easy on myself, but learning to be responsible and accountable for your decisions and learning the value of hard work has taken me everywhere in life. That and the grace of God has gotten me everywhere. You know, my first job was at Waffle House on College Park Road,
Right.
exit 203. And after that, I went to the Citadel, and I never thought I would graduate at the top of my class, and I did because I worked hard to
Right.
do that. I'm now vice chair of the School of Business at the Citadel now. And so I just know that if I work hard for my community, that I will be successful and be able to deliver results. And that is all I want to do. It is that simple.
That is good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, Nancy Mace, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Anytime.
Good.
Yeah.